Hey guys, Bethany here, all things life and fitness. Welcome back to my channel.
No way.
Yes. So in today's video, we are going to cover running gear and fueling.
Running, I'm out.
In today's video, we're going to cover several different topics that include gear and fueling. First one we're going to talk about is shoes, how to find what ones might be best for you. Your running watch or whatever you might track your run with, track your data with. We're going to talk about running clothing and water and hydration. We also are going to briefly cover nutrition. So at the end of this video, I'm going to talk to you about things that most all runners deal with, but not a lot of them like to talk about. So stay to the end so we can talk about some awkward things. All right, let's talk about running shoes. So running shoes is not a one shoe fits all. There are so many running shoes to choose from. Every company thinks that they have the best running shoe, but the truth is, again, there's not one shoe that is going to be right for everyone. So part of being a smart athlete is doing your research and finding what shoe works best for you. I'm also going to tell you throughout this video exactly what I use. And again, remember that does not mean that it's going to be right for you, but I just want to share to you what I found that works for me. So when I started running back in like 2013, I ran an Asics and they worked fine for me. And then I got really bad runner's knee after training for my first marathon. So bad to where I barely crossed the finish line. And I realized that the shoes just were not right for me because then shortly after that, I got severe plantar fasciitis. I don't think it was the shoes that necessarily caused it. I think it was a combination of a lot of things and also me not properly rehabbing or taking preventative measures for this injury. So shortly after just kind of having a few chronic injuries, runner's knee, plantar fasciitis, I switched to Hoka Cliftons. And my running partner, and he was also my coach at the time, he swore by them. And so I got them, and they took a little bit of getting used to because they do have a little more cushion than normal. They're lightweight, but they changed my life. My plantar fasciitis is gone, and I have not dealt with it since switching my footwear. So if you are new to running and you don't have a shoe that you love, I do love the Hoka Cliftons, and I think they're a great starting shoe. They're great for injury-prone runners. But what I suggest is to go to a running store, somewhere where they have experienced employees that can actually analyze your running gait. So oftentimes they'll have a treadmill and they'll put you on and they'll analyze your gait and see if you kind of pronate or supinate and see if you need a neutral shoe or more of a stability shoe. I mean, they can help you point you in the right direction to what shoe might be the best fit for you. But what you need to do is ask the right questions. Why is this shoe right for me? What are the benefits of this shoe? And don't be afraid to ask them questions to make sure that they're not just selling you the newest brand or the shoe that they're trying to clear out or something. Why are you here?
Wait, because when you're recording these, I just can't help but stay away. Real quick. What do runners do when they forget something?
What do they do?
They jog their memory.
Get out of here. Oh, hey, if you haven't done so already, right now would be a good time to subscribe to my channel. And everything that I talk about in this video, all of the equipment and the gear that I use, if you want the links to those, they will be below. Also, hit the notification bell and share my videos with a friend. When you do that, it helps my channel grow and I really appreciate it. Okay, next let's talk about a running watch. Now, I think that sometimes people can obsess over data. Data can be great, and what I mean by data is your run stats. So your time, your pace, your cadence, your mileage, all of that. Way back when, people had a stopwatch and they knew a rough general idea of what mileage they were running. So sometimes I think that we can get obsessive over data, but I also think it can be used to benefit us. So just be smart about it. Don't stress over it. Sometimes I'll have my clients put tape over their watch so they just run by feel. And that's really the ultimate goal, is to really be in tune with your body and run by feel and get to know what an easy pace is and all of that. And we're going to discuss that later on in a training video. Um, but I use the Garmin 235. It's pretty basic. It does have a built-in heart rate monitor, a wrist heart rate monitor. And I like it. I like it that I can track my mileage. You can set specific workouts into it. It tracks you, it tells you your heart rate. And, you can log into your app and kind of get some further, like more in-depth details. But typically, I just use it for my pace and my mileage. But oftentimes, I'll too run without a watch. I did recently get an Apple Watch. I haven't ran with it yet, but I plan to this week. So we'll see how I like that one. But for the last few years, I've used the Garmin 235 and I really like it. All right, let's talk about clothing. And clothing is very, I think it's a personal preference. I have a couple pairs of shorts that I love and I swear by. I prefer to run in shorts, even when it's cold out. I live in California, so it doesn't get too cold to where I can't wear shorts. I actually ran the Boston Marathon in 2018 in shorts and it was freezing, literally, like snowing at the start line, sleet, rain, snow. We got all the weather conditions and I ran in shorts. So I prefer, like, my favorite short is the speed shorts from Lululemon. I also like typical like Nike running shorts. They are a little bit longer and they have the built-in underwear, so they help with chafing. I do chafe like on my inner thighs when I run and then my armpits. Finding proper clothing is kind of a trial and error and again, a personal preference. So you might like running in leggings. You might like running in a long sleeve. You might like running in tank top. I prefer a long sleeve sports bra and shorts in when it's cold out, and then a jacket if it's really cold, gloves, hat. But again, I live in California, so when I run, it's typically great weather. So I run in shorts, a tank top. Sometimes I'll start with a jacket and ditch it. And that does it for me. So there's not, again, just kind of like shoes, there's not one brand of clothing that's just going to be the perfect one for everybody. I do suggest, finding what you prefer for the weather and always look up the weather before a run to see, okay, what am I going to wear for this run? So you're properly prepared. Next is water. What I mean by water is how you're going to bring your water with you on your run. If I am running anything under 10 miles, typically I don't bring water or hydration with me. I just don't get thirsty enough. I know that my run is ending soon and I can get water when I'm finished. Now, if it was extreme heat, then that would be a different story. Typically, I don't run in any weather over 85 degrees. There are different kinds of hydration systems, I guess. You can have a handheld water bottle. You can have a water belt that has little water bottles hooked to it that you can easily clip off, drink, and clip back on. They also have hydration packs that go on your back, like a backpack, and then you have a little hose and a thing that like a straw almost, that you drink out of. So there are different ones. You need to find what's right for you. I will say though, if you plan to run a race with carrying some sort of hydration pack, you must train with it. So if you plan to run a race with a water belt, please train with it. It's, very important. You can also stash water bottles. So I've done in the past where I will drive my route before I start running, and I'll stash water bottles in a bush or on a street corner or wherever. And then that way I can grab it and go. When I run a race, I make it a point to hydrate at every single water station. So I've just found that works for me. I grab it and I continue running. I don't stop. I don't walk through the water stations typically. I just drink it, and usually I spill half of it all over me, but at least I'm getting a few ounces of water in and staying hydrated throughout the whole race. So this is going to lead us into fueling. And I always say fueling, and John always makes fun of me because he's like, you have to say it in normal people terms. Like, that's too scientific. What I mean by fueling is the fuel that you put in your body, the nutrition that we take in. So food or water or hydration. So when I talk about fueling, what I use to fuel my body before runs, after runs, that's mainly what I'm going to cover here. So before runs, typically I run in the morning and I usually have a piece of toast with peanut butter or a bagel and cream cheese. A bagel and cream cheese is a little heavy, so I do have that usually before a full marathon, and I make sure to get it in at least an hour and a half before the start of the race. I always have a cup of coffee, and I try to drink like 24 ounces of water. And again, that might not work for everybody, but those are some of the things that works for me. So find what works for you. Another thing is, a banana if you need something lighter. A piece of toast with peanut butter, like I said, bagel and cream cheese. Just something that's going to be easily digestible, that's going to give you a good amount of carbs for energy, and then make sure you drink some fluid, some water. So my favorite electrolyte supplement for hydration is this brand called LMNT. It's a salt supplement. It has 1,000 milligrams of salt, and there could be a whole video on the benefits of salt. A lot of people say, oh, you limit your sodium intake a day. That's not always true. We'll see if I can get all the research together to present a video on that for you guys. But anyway, I love this LMNT salt drink. And again, the link will be below here so you can look it up. It's delicious. It has very little sugar in it. It's keto approved, and it's delicious. It tastes like a margarita. So that's what I drink. I drink that typically not during a run, but after a run, and I drink it even on days I don't work out. So let's talk about nutrition post run. So post run, I typically for a shorter run, I just kind of go about my day, or I drink some water and then I just wait until my next meal. But a long run, usually I don't have an appetite right after, but I do try to get something in, like a protein shake and a banana, or just a small meal that's going to help my body replenish the depleted, energy that I just burned. And then I try to have a bigger meal within 1 to 2 hours after my run. So that's long run. Usually after a long run, I'm starving the next day and I eat all the things, all the food, and I try to allow my body to replenish and recover. Okay, so to recap on fueling and nutrition. Now remember, I'm not a registered dietitian. I'm not a nutritionist. Again, I found what works for me, and that is eating real foods like lean meats, lean proteins, veggies, fruits, and healthy fats. And I don't track macros. I don't count calories. Occasionally, I will just be mindful of my protein. If I feel like my energy is lacking, I will typically that makes me know I need to increase my protein consumption. All right, let's talk about the things that all runners deal with and not many talk about. The first one is chafing. So I mentioned it earlier that I do chafe when I run. The thigh gap thing is not based on weight. It's based on the width of your hips. I do not have a thigh gap, and my inner thighs chafe when I run. That's just how it is. I prevent it by using like Body Glide or maybe some Vaseline pre-run. But there's not one thing that I found that completely takes it away. It does get better with some runs, but if it's humid out or if I'm sweaty, I chafe, and that's just part of running. I also chafe in my armpits a little bit, and that's just part of running. So again, Body Glide or Vaseline can really help with that. Another one is losing toenails. So I think if you have the proper footwear, this shouldn't happen often, but it does happen. And typically it's not painful. When I've lost toenails after a long run or a race, usually I don't even know that I did until a couple days later when they start to like lift up and fall off. I know it's gross, but it's just part of it. But it's from your toes just hitting the front of your shoe over and over throughout the run. So make sure you keep your toenails nice and short, and that will definitely help, along with finding the shoe that's a best fit for you. One of the last things is walking. So in order to become a runner, all you have to do is run. It doesn't matter the distance. It doesn't matter the pace. Once you go on a run, you are now a runner. But I cannot stress enough how much it is okay to walk during a run if needed. Now, ideally, the goal is to be able to run the complete run without stopping or walking, and learn to slow down your pace to recover. But walking is perfectly fine. Walking is still a great exercise. You're going to burn the same amount of calories whether you run a mile or walk a mile. So if you need to take a break and walk and catch your breath, do so, and don't be hard on yourself. It is okay. The last thing that all runners deal with, and not a lot talk about, but I'm very open about it because I've struggled with it a lot, is Pooping. So there's a thing called runner's gut. And when you run a lot, I know for me, if I haven't run in a while or just certain runs, I haven't really put my finger on it. My stomach will get upset and I have to go to the bathroom mid run. And sometimes it is an emergency. Typically throughout my running routes, I have my like set gas stations or Starbucks like planned out to where I can run in and use the restroom if I needed. But there has been plenty of runs where I call John and I'm only a mile from home and I tell him, you have to come pick me up right away. It's an emergency. I am about to poop my pants. I also actually have a friend who pooped in his front, I think it was his front yard. He pooped behind a bush. And it's normal. I mean, you'll see runners in races just kind of veer off the path and find a bush to go to the bathroom in. It's something we all deal with. I think that things that can help this is timing your runs properly. If you know that you're like a 9 a.m. pooper, then time your runs around that and don't run at 9 a.m. Proper hydration helps, and then nutrition helps. So eat the foods that you know. Don't eat something new before a race or something new before a long run, and that'll definitely help. So that's what I've got for you guys today. This was the first video of my running series. So there's gonna be more to come. So be sure to hit the notification bell so you don't miss any further videos. I'll see you next week. John.